Hey guys, welcome back. Today is day 24 and we're going to talk about slope today. We're going to start off by going over the warm-up. So if you weren't here, you might want to print out the warm-up or do it on line paper and pause the video right now and then we'll go over it. So last class we talked about x and y intercepts and we learned how to figure out the x-y intercept by first, the x-intercept is letting your y be 0. And if your y is 0 and you plug it in, you're going to be left with 2x is equal to 4. And then you divide by 2, and in this case, your x is 2. So your x is 2 and your y would be 0. So that's your x-intercept. If you plot the point at 2, 0, you'll see it's right on the x-axis. And then for your y-intercept, you let your x be 0. And when you do that, right here, you can see this would just go to 0. You're just left with y is equal to 4. So your x is always 0 and your y is 4 in this case. So you plot the point 0, 4, which would be right here. And then you connect these 2 points, make a line. There you go. All right, so the second one we did, your x-intercept, we let the y be 0. And we are left with 5x is equal to 5 because that y would just go to 0. We divide both sides by 5. And our x is 1. So the ordered pair would be 1, 0, which would be right here. And then the y-intercept, we let our x be 0. And when we do that, we're left with, that would go to 0. We're just left with negative y is equal to 5. Don't forget you have to divide both sides by that negative 1 to get just y equal to negative 5. All right, so our x is 0, our y is negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our 2 points, and we can connect and make the line. Okay, so the next 2 questions, we wanted to see if the point was a solution of the equation. So we want to see if this ordered pair is on this line. Okay, all we do is plug in negative 3 for our x, so 2 times negative 3, plus 3 times our y, which is 6, and we check to see if it equals 12. All right, so negative 6 plus 18 equals 12, and we can see that 12 does indeed equal 12, so that point, negative 3, 6, would be a solution. Okay, looking at number 4 though, when we plug in the y, which is 1, and we say 2 times 3 minus 4, we end up with 1 equals 6 minus 4, which is 1 equals 2. That's not a solution. Okay, so from there, we can go into the notes. All right, so please keep in mind that my pen is acting kind of a little funky, so I'm hoping we get through this okay, but we'll continue with the notes right now. Okay, so today is day 24, and we are going to talk about slope. Slope is the steepness of a line, and it is usually represented by an integer or a fraction. The formula for slope that we use is m equals y2 minus y of 1 divided by x2 minus x of 1. Okay, what do we mean by that? Well, if we have 2 ordered pairs, okay, they're in the form of x, y, the first ordered pair would be x1, y1. These are subscripts. And the second ordered pair would be x2, y2. Okay, the slope m, okay, is the variable that's, the variable m is what we use for slope. Okay, slope is also called the rate of change. This is important, the rate of change. So if we want to find the slope of the line passing through the given points, we're going to use the formula. So I have 2 points. Again, this is an x and a y, this is an x and a y. This is my first point, this is my second point, okay? So when I use the formula, my y2 would be 9, my y1 would be 5. So we're taking the difference of the y coordinates divided by the difference in the x. So x2 minus x1. We end up with 4 over 1, which is 4. So my slope here is 4, and that's a positive slope. Okay, we do the same thing for number 2. Again, your 2 points are identified. Okay, we use the formula from right up here, our y2 minus y of 1. So we're going to say negative 2 minus 3 divided by 4. Now notice we're subtracting a negative 2. So from here on, if I say I'm subtracting a negative, I'm actually going to be adding. So our slope is going to be negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5, and 4 plus 2 is positive 6. So my slope is negative 5/6. Okay, moving on, we've got number 3. If I calculate the slope, I've got negative 2 minus 7 and 5 minus 5. In this case, we've got negative 9 over 0. Well, we know we can't divide by 0, so in this case, our slope is undefined. We cannot divide by 0. All right, we try number 4. Again, you can pause the video and try it yourself if you'd like. Okay, and I'm saying negative 1 plus 1 because I'm subtracting a negative 1 divided by 1 plus 1. Again, I'm subtracting a negative. So I end up with negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 divided by 2, which is equal to 0. So my slope here is 0. Okay. All right, so number 6, we calculate the slope at 6 minus 3 divided by 4 plus 2, which is 3/6. Now notice we have a fraction. That's fine. We always want to simplify our fraction. So 3/6 can simplify to be 1/2. So our slope is 1/2. Okay. Number 6, our slope is negative 4 plus 2, because we're subtracting a negative 2, divided by 2 minus 4. So we end up with a negative 2 divided by a negative 2, which is positive 1. So our slope is 1. Okay. Again, I didn't go through and write down x1, y1. You might want to do that on every example until you get good at it. Okay, so your first point and your second point. So your slope is your change in your y, the difference of your y values, divided by the difference in your x values. And it's also known as the rate of change. So we can graph a line with a given point and slope. We start at the indicated point that's given, and we find the next point using the given slope. All right, we repeat the pattern until the points go off the coordinate plane, and then we connect them. So if you look at number 7, the point is given, and the slope is 2/5. This is where I like to think of the slope as being your rise over your run. Okay, rise meaning up and down, and run meaning from left to right. Okay, so if we start at this point and our rise is 2, we end up right here, and then we run positive 5. So it's a positive 2, so we go up 2, then we go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our ending point is right there. Okay, we can do it again. We can rise 2 and run 5, and then we just connect those points and we make our line. A lot of times I like to check at the end, did I actually make a positive slope? Is that going up? Like the video, puff, puff, positive? Yes, it is. Okay, number 8, our slope is negative 1/3. When you have a negative slope, think of your rise over your run again, but in this case, only 1 is going to be negative. So we can make this as negative 1/3, or we could do 1/-3. All right. So if we start here, we go down 1, because if we're going negative, it's down 1 to the right 3. Or we could go up 1, and then a negative 3 would be to the left. So we can connect our points and make our line and check, is that actually a negative slope? Yes, it is. Okay, so in number 9, our slope is 4. When you have a whole number slope, I recommend when you're graphing it, just put it over 1, okay? Because that helps you recognize the rise is 4 and the run is 1. So we're going to start at that point and we're going to rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and run positive 1. There's our second point. This line's going to be a little bit steeper because it is a whole number, okay? And in the case of this graph, I've already run out of space, so I can actually think of this as a negative 4 over negative 1 for a rise. So I could go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, into the left 1, because a negative divided by a negative is still a positive. All right, so there's our line. All right. So this section, we just want to plot the point and find the next points using the slope and then connect them. So I start out at my point, -4, 3. Always start at the origin. X before Y. So we walk before we fly. So we go -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, +3. There's our point that we start at. Since our slope is -1/2, we've got a rise of -1 and a run of 2. So I go down 1 to the right 2, or I could go up 1 to the left 2. We're off the graph with that, but let's just keep going this way. And we make our line. Okay, excuse me. All right, number 11, we're going to plot the point 0, -3. And in this case, our slope is 2. So again, we're going to put it over 1 and think of our rise is 2, our run is 1. So we're going to rise 2 and run 1, rise 2 and run 1. Okay, connect the points. All right, so there's our line. All right, so a summary of the different slopes we have. Okay, when the graph rises from left to right, it's called a positive slope. In the case of a positive slope, the slope is greater than 0. When the graph falls from left to right, it's called a negative slope. All right, in other words, your slope is less than 0. When the graph is horizontal, it's called a 0 slope. In that case, our m is equal to 0. Okay, and when the graph is vertical, it's called an undefined slope. All right, we can't define it because we're dividing by 0 here, so it's an undefined slope. So we have a silly little acronym that will help you remember the difference between a horizontal graph and a vertical graph, and it's called HOI-VUX. How that little silly acronym works is the H in HOI stands for a horizontal line, and that horizontal line has a 0 slope, and eventually you're going to learn the equation of that line starts with y equals. Okay, the VUX is a vertical line, and that has an undefined slope, undefined, and the equation of that line is going to be x equals. Okay, so HOI-VUX, you're going to hear me refer to that a lot to remember things. HOI-VUX. Okay. Let's go back to this. So let's find the slope from the given graph. We're going to use the 2 points that are on the graph. Now notice if you don't have points given, you should pick a point where the line goes through 2 whole number ordered pairs, so an x and a y that are whole numbers. So if I looked at number 12, I've got my 2 points. I'm going to rise 2 and run 2. So this is 2 over 2, which is 1. So my slope would be 1. Okay, then number 13, okay, it doesn't matter, I can start from either point, I'm going to get the same slope. In this case, I'm going to rise 2 and I'm going to run -1. So it's going to be a -2 slope. Okay, or I could have gone down 2, which is a -2, and to the right 1, and notice I still get that -2 slope. Okay, I look at 14, I know it's going to be positive, but to get between these 2 points, I'm going to rise 2, and then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be 2/5. Rise 2, run 5. 15, I simply have to look at it. I know it's a horizontal line, so I think of HOI, and I know my slope is 0. Okay, if I wanted to use the 2 points, I could think I rise 0 and I run 2 in this case, and that's still equal to 0. Okay. So the last part of today's lesson is to pull it all together and to find the missing coordinate given the slope of a line. Okay, so if I have 2 points where one of the coordinates, meaning one of the x's or one of the y's is missing, we can figure it out. Okay, so in this case, our x1 is missing. So we're going to use the formula for slope. Slope is equal to y2 minus y of 1 over x2 minus x of 1, right? Okay, so our slope here is 5/6. So we're going to say 5/6 is equal to, my y2 is -1 minus 4 divided by x2 is 6, and then my missing coordinate is the x. Okay, so we set it up like this. We can simplify. So I'm going to say 5 6 is equal to -1 minus 4 is -5 over 6 minus x. And just like we did last quarter when we solved equations, this is set up like a proportion, so we can use cross products to actually solve for x. Okay, so products means multiplication. All right, it means we take the numerator of 1, 5 times 6 minus x, don't forget to distribute, equals -5 times 6. We distribute 30 minus 5x equals -30. We add 30 to both sides, or actually let's subtract 30 from this side. We do that and we get -5x is equal to -60. And then we divide both sides by that -5. Our missing coordinate is 12. Okay, number 17, we're going to do the same way, only now our missing coordinate is a y. So in this case, our slope is 8. So let's put it over 1. All right, so our slope is 8 over 1. Our change in y is 1 minus y divided by -2 minus 0. All right, I'm going to simplify, and I get 1 minus y divided by -2. All right, I now set up my cross products. So in this case, 1 times 1 minus y is going to be equal to -2 times 8. Okay, so 1 minus y is equal to a -16. Okay, and we're just going to subtract 1 from both sides. So -y is equal to -17, and we divide both sides by that -1, and we get a missing y value of +17. Okay, so I hope that helped. You can go ahead and try the exit ticket and then work on your homework. Bye.